Welcome back to yet another episode of the O Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, CW. Thank you so much for listening. Make sure to hit the bell on YouTube to get notified when new videos go live. And subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcasting app. Leave a review, a like, and tell a buddy about this wrestling show. Got that out the way. Today, we're talking about the Raw After Wrestlemania and the road forward after the world's greatest wrestling event. So I was sitting here looking up wrestling news as I do every morning, seeing what's going on in the wrestling world, and I started thinking about what the landscape of WWE will be post WrestleMania. WrestleMania is incredibly exciting. WrestleMania is the biggest event. It's going to be 2 nights. It's going to be great. The household here is going to be buzzing with wrestling excitement. My daughter will probably call her friend, and they'll talk about whatever match Bianca ends up in, or the Rhea Ripley match or whatnot. It's going to be great. But then we hit Monday, and all the chickens come home to roost. The Raw After WrestleMania is notoriously one of the best Raws of the year, save, what was it, 2018? No, 2021. I think it was the terrible Raw After WrestleMania where nothing happened. There was no good matches. It was 3 hours of fluff. But we won't get into that. I don't remember the year. I remember it was bad. But normally it's really great. And the reason it's great is because there are a number of call-ups from NXT, new signees who get, brought over from the indies or other promotions debut. We get new storylines cropping up. We get new feuds. We get all this new stuff. We get to see who's getting pushed. We get to see who's getting buried. It's exciting. You get a glimpse of the next 3 to 6 months of the company's storytelling in that one night, right? They show you exactly which NXT person is about to get a rocket strapped to their back. They show you, how the champ is going to respond to their WrestleMania win. We'll see how, the loser responds to their loss. We'll see how the crowd reacts to whatever happened the nights before. It's exciting. I think it's a bigger deal than WrestleMania. WrestleMania is a bigger production, but that Raw really kicks off the next WrestleMania, right? It puts things in motion. So I was sitting here thinking, well, let me fantasy book in my head who goes over and who doesn't during WrestleMania, which I've done, I think, multiple times here on the show. But then who's showing up on the Raw After WrestleMania and what they're doing? So as of this recording, I keep saying that, Jimmy and Jay are they're scheduled for WrestleMania. We have the tag team of Rock and Seth versus Cody and Rock and Roman versus Cody and Seth. And then night 2, they have Cody versus Roman with whatever stipulation comes from that match. We have Drew McIntyre versus Seth Rollins. We have Becky versus Rhea Ripley. We have a 6-team ladder match for the tag titles, which is weird. And we have Gunther versus Sami Zayn. I think that's everybody. Also, Bronson Reed's pushing for a Meaty Men Invitational, which I'm also on board for. Please get that going. So let's say that let's start there. Let's say this Meaty Man Invitational that Big E pitched goes through, right? And we get something like a Bronson Reed, an Ivar, what was his name? Otis. Who else is a big meaty man? Omos? Nah, Omos is just tall. I don't know. Who else is huge? Who else is a big meat man? Eric can come back there's a prediction. Eric comes back for that match. Maybe Big E shows up for that match. Why would Big E not be in that match? Again, I did a whole episode about Big E not wrestling again, and I stand by that. But if he decided, because it's his life, to wrestle again because he felt comfortable doing it, that Big Meaty Man Invitational would be the greatest way to bring him back into the fold. So let's say that happens. I think Bronson Reed goes over. Just think so. They're putting a lot of effort into him. I think Jay goes over. I think Drew gets the title. I think night 1, Rock and Roman win. And then night 2, Rock turns on Roman and Cody wins. And then we lead into, I think Rhea goes over Becky. I don't see a need for Becky to have the title. Rhea's doing a fine job just holding it. And who else? Gunther and Sami. Sami Zayn's probably going over. And I think we all forget that, what's his name? Damian Priest still has the Money in the Bank contract. He has it until July. So who knows if that'll come into play. Maybe it will. In that tag match, I'm pretty sure they're setting up the Judgment Day to lose the titles to either DIY or R-Truth and Miz. If it's R-Truth and Miz, I don't know how far that's going to go, but maybe they're trying to get that whole pop that they got for the tag titles last year. Who knows? Anyway, with the last 4 minutes, let's talk about the Raw After Mania. So, people who are getting the rocket strapped to their back. Braun Breaker, he's been getting featured on SmackDown of just burying NXT and local talent, which is a great way, very, very old school way to get people over. He's just spearing and pinning and screaming. He's getting the rocket. It's inevitable. Tiffany Stratton, Tiffy time. She's already getting the push. She's going over on people who should have been getting a push, like Mia Yim. So they're really leaning into people's love of Tiffy time. And honestly, I'm on Tiffany's side. She's great, very athletic. She has a lot of promise. I don't know exactly what her gimmick is, but her wrestling is fantastic. So I'm on board. So she's definitely getting the treatment, whether it's like tagging her with somebody and getting the women's tag titles, or just going for one of the championships. That, I think she's a great candidate for a workhorse women's title. Like, let's get a Netflix championship, whatever they want to call it, for the ladies, so that they have like an IC title run. And you can do that past WrestleMania. Start a tournament for this new women's title and give them, another thing to chase, right? Or give them some sort of tournament to win where they get like not a title like a championship, but like an actual title, like King of the Ring, Queen of the Ring kind of thing. I think Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes are coming up after Raw, on that Raw. I think Trick Williams is going to Raw, and I think Carmelo is going to SmackDown. I think they've kind of established that a little bit, but I think they're moving up and out of NXT. They're closing out their feud at Stand and Deliver, so it only makes sense for them to move up. I think Seth is going heel, potentially. Let me take that back. I think Drew is going over. He's coming back, and then he's going to be in a work with CM Punk. CM Punk's definitely going to be on the Raw After Mania, and The Rock is going to give up his heel persona for a face persona so that he can take on Roman Reigns for the Tribal Chief title at SummerSlam. Those are my predictions for both WrestleMania and the Raw After Mania. What do you think? Let me know what you think is going to happen in the comments. Can't wait to read them. Thank you so much for listening. That has been another episode of the Oh Wrestling Podcast. Don't you ever forget.
I'm your friend, but if I ever see you in the ring, I can beat you. Don't you know? Yeah, yeah, yeah.